Guess, am I supposed to say something? Here we go. Kira, am I supposed to say something at this point? You're live. Yes, we're live. Hey, we're live. Thanks for joining us today. I want to thank the Los Angeles College of Music, Kira Morrison, and everybody at the college for supporting this masterclass today. I have some guests for you today, and we'll bring them on as we proceed. I have a lot to talk about today, but I want to make sure that you all out there are getting what I'm delivering and having questions. If you have questions, please post them. I'd be glad to hear who's out there. And other than that, we're going to have a great time today. I'm going to talk a lot about the makings of a successful drummer. So I hope you stay tuned. I hope you have questions. And again, guests today will include some faculty members and some students. So thank you very much. So look, we have this topic, developing yourself as a successful drummer. What is that? What does it mean? I'm getting messages. Hang on. Your camera is a little shaky. Okay, let's try that. I'm going to take my leg off the camera. The makings of a successful drummer. And I think I'm going to keep my glasses on so I can see the screen. Look, many things. What is success? That's the first topic. I'm going to just follow a script here for you. How do we measure success in music? What is being a successful musician in today's music industry? So, it's a good question, and I'm sure it's a question that you think about, you want to ask people about, and, you don't have the answer yet. All right, so look, success can be different things to different people. It's making a lot of money for some. That's, not for me. It's becoming famous. Again, not for me, but you can see that doesn't mean success. Success is a little of both, perhaps. Success is being in a band whose music is popular and getting airplay. All right, that's a measure of success. Success is working as a drummer in the professional sphere, such as studio work for TV, motion picture, records, touring with other successful artists. All right, working in the popular venues for different styles of music. I call this the working drummer. Okay, that's a measure of success. Actually making a living doing what you're doing. And then maybe success is having a lot of likes on YouTube. Okay, that seems to be the thing today, getting a lot of hits when you post something on YouTube. Well, I see a lot of great stuff on YouTube. I look at it all the time. For me, it's a valuable tool for us. But then there's the stuff that is not so good, and basically you just pass on it. So look for the good stuff, because there's plenty on there, and I've actually posted a few things for myself, and I hope you've had a chance to look at those. It's talking about some very important things about music, not just being a drummer, but about being a musician, of being the total package. Okay, so who's out there? Who am I talking to? Can somebody tell me who you are and where you're from? You can post your comments, post your questions in the comment column. Just type it in, and I'll be happy to answer the question for you if I can. All right, I see one fellow out there. He says, I made it. Thank you for this seminar. Well, you're welcome. You're very welcome. So let's continue on. There's another kind of success. We talked about, money and all that sort of thing. But what about self-satisfaction in what you are doing and what you have accomplished? Knowing that you have achieved what you set out to do musically, that's really important. Knowing that in that effort, you also made the music and the musicians that you're playing with sound great and making them satisfied with what went down. So also, I do a lot of teaching. Obviously, I've done it for years and years and years. So if you're a mentor or you're teaching somebody, success for you can be knowing that you are helping others achieve their goals and aspirations, whether it's by example or by a method that takes your student from A to Z. Success is knowing that in the process of your expression, everything that everything, you're sharing your ideas, your concepts, your techniques, and your practices, and you're giving back everything that you know willingly. So if you're a mentor to somebody or a teacher, and I know there are many of you out there, you get a lot of satisfaction with your student when you see success in your student. That's successful for you, and you should feel successful. Success necessarily involves being a good drummer and knowing and fulfilling the duties of a good drummer. And what are they? All right, so as a drummer, you're a timekeeper. You are the motor in the band. Your motor is running, and you're running that motor, and you want to keep the band on the tracks. So it's very important to know that that's your most important job. The tempo, you're involved in maintaining that tempo. Once somebody counts it off or you count it off, it's got to be in that groove, all right? So the groove factor is really, really important for success. You are the leader in the band, okay? What do I mean by that? I'm sorry, I'm shaking my camera. I will get my foot off my stool. You are the leader in the band. You are the smartest person in the band, or at least you should be. You are taking instruction from perhaps a conductor, but then he's handing it off to you. Now you are leading, okay? The band is with you. You're supporting the band. You're laying out what needs to be done, what your job is as someone who's playing the form of the music, indicating passages in the music that have rhythm, punctuating the form, as Joe Porcaro, my partner who died recently, used to say, and I really picked up on that. I think it's really important. Punctuating the phrase, letting the band know where they are in the music. That's an important thing. That's a successful drummer doing that. You are a listener, okay? What does that mean? It means that at every moment in time, you are aware of what's going on. Distractions can happen. You create distractions, or there's a distraction from outside. You can't have those when you're playing, when you're supporting a band, no matter how many people are in the band. So when you do that, you're supporting the band, all right? And you're aware of everything that's going on in those moments. So musically, melodically, harmonically, form. Where are you in the procession of the music? Are there figures? What's the volume? You're doing all those things because you're listening. Okay, if you're not listening and paying attention to yourself, perhaps that's distracting. Now you don't hear anything at all. Okay, you've got to be in touch with the big picture at every moment in time, because what is it going to do? It's going to make you help. It's going to help you to make decisions about what you're playing. Okay, if you're not listening, how do you know what to play? There's no connection. So that's really an important thing, I think, for drummers to know that listening is probably at the top of your list when you're playing. And if you're listening to music, it's the same thing. Listen for the details. The big picture is bathing you in, you love what you're hearing, everything's great. But as a musician and as a drummer, you should be aware of what the rhythm is that's going on. Maybe it's complicated, but you should be able to figure it out. All right, that requires knowledge of certain things like rhythm. And rhythm, where do you learn rhythm? Well, you learn it by playing, by listening, and by studying. Okay, so in the process of your development, you're playing. That's most important, but you're learning at the same time that you're playing. In other words, the learning process, that has to be happening for your development as a drummer. Playing in a band is not enough. You have to study. You have to become proficient at what you do. And that involves a lot of things. Excuse me. That involves, having a good sounding instrument, for example. Your drum set, forget the brand, any brand will sound good. It's the way you tune it, it's the way you hit it, it's the way you control the phrasing, the nuances of dynamics. And that's technique. Okay, so technique obviously has to be there at some point for there to be success. Okay, you know that if you don't feel great with your technique, you're probably not satisfied. You feel like, well, darn it, I'm not as good as I want to be. I need to practice more. Okay, great. Well, practicing is a whole other subject matter. Maybe we can get into it today. But you know that you've got to get better. Okay, so routines are really, really good. Studying with somebody is really, really good, or going to school is really, really good. So that you're learning something, you're building, you're developing. Okay, and that's going to lead towards success. You can see the banner there. You can get in touch with our school for more information about what we do at the school. I have some teachers today that are going to chime in and have something to say after I maybe get a little bit further along here. And again, if you have questions, send them along. All right, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you. Just post them in the comments section that you see on your screen. Let's see, where are we? We are talking about the instrument. So again, the brand, it doesn't matter. A good tuned drum set doesn't matter if it's DW or Yamaha or something else, okay? But in order to get a good sound out of the instrument, you need to be striking the instrument properly. And that's where technique does finally come in, all right? Drum set is an instrument, okay? You need to treat it like a real instrument, okay? So hitting the instrument, with the right tone and tune and timbre, all those things, and what determines those things? Well, your ear for one, experience for another, and what you're going for finally, or in the music that you're going to play. What should your drums sound like, depending on the music that you're playing. Some drummers, they just set them up and play. Okay, great, that's fun. But what about your instrument? Are you developing your sound? Okay, how do you develop your sound? By getting better technique and hitting the instrument and realizing, oh, it's out of tune, or gee, I want it tighter, or anything like that. That's going to help you develop everything that you're all about, your technique and your sound. And your sound becomes part of your personality. And then people hear you, and guess what? Oh, that's so-and-so. All right. So being a musician means being a personality. Okay. You are somebody. You're not nobody else. You are you. And so that's what you're developing. And when you feel like you've got a voice, all right, when you have a voice, you feel satisfied, and that's success. All right, those things are success. The big picture is, you're always looking at the big picture, but the little things are really what is successful. The day-to-day stuff. Maybe you're practicing, and you've been practicing this thing for God knows how long. Finally, you got it, and then you do it again. That's success, okay? Those little things. And every day you're hacking away at whatever in your routine, whether it's practicing or playing, and it should be both, okay? Or jamming even, okay? Jamming usually means no money, okay? Don't think that every time you play, you're gonna make money. It's not gonna work that way, all right? You have to love what you're doing, because if you do, then you'll just be playing, all right? You'll be wanting to play no matter what, and it won't matter about money. Okay, so those things, as musicians, I think we're a special breed because we do what we do because we love it. We really do. There's a passion, and that passion drives you to be better, to be more successful. You're always aiming for the big picture, but it takes steps, incremental steps, and you'll eventually get there if you pay attention and do the right things. So, that's generally, the way I look at success. There's different levels of success. It's the little stuff, and then it's the big stuff. It all means something. It does, it does something good to you, to know that you had success at something, regardless of how small it was. So look, there may be some other topics that the other teachers want to get into. So why don't I bring in Dave Beyer. Dave has been with us since the beginning, and I've known Dave for years and years and years. And Dave has played with all big time people, and has his own recording studio, and is one heck of a drummer and one heck of a teacher. And I'm happy to have him on the force. So Dave, thank you.
Yeah, bless you. Thank you too. Happy to be here.
Great.
So, do we have any questions from anyone out there? We can.
I don't see it.
No.
I don't see questions. I'd love to see some questions.
Yeah,
you must
me
have
too.
them. There's one finally.
Great.
From Henry. I'm a Brazilian drummer, PhD in Germany at the moment. I studied at MI in 1988, 98, 99 with some of your former students and colleagues. Wow. Henry, thanks. Thanks for watching.
Great.
Good to hear from you.
And Henry, are you currently playing? Are you in a band, or what are you doing? I'd like to get a little dialogue going.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Well, he would probably write something in the chat. It would come on the screen.
Okay.
So, but just go ahead, Dave, okay. And you can answer whenever that comes up.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to second everything you said, and I've been making notes while you were talking, and I really think it kind of does boil down to the little things in the end, like you said, and simply loving it. And when I was young, when I was a teenager, I thought I would wake up one day and be successful and feel like I made it. Here I am, wherever that was,
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm still waiting to feel that way. But I really am. I look back on things that I was able to do, and still am able to do. Concerts, playing big venues, and some sessions I've done with some great artists. Like Melissa Etheridge, and I've had people here in my own home studio. Greg Allman was here. We recorded.
Oh wow, that's great! I love his stuff.
Oh yeah, and that was with Buzz Featon brought him in the guitar.
Woo, Buzzy.
So that was quite an experience.
I'll bet.
And Melissa Etheridge, I had her in. We did her whole album here before we went to A&M Records. So like a whole pre-production session for a month, which was really interesting and a great learning experience for me. Right. So I look back on those things, and I'm very proud of some of the recordings, and it's great to have recordings. So whether you have professionally made recordings or just recordings on your phone or however you record, I think that's a really important part of developing, because you look back on those things and listen back, and you realize, wow, maybe I was struggling with this or that back then, and now I can do it comfortably. And that's when you have those little strides and you feel like you're getting somewhere, because that's really, that's a big part of it, is feeling like you're getting better. And again, I think that never ends. I think you're always.
I agree with you. It to this day, there are things I want to learn, things I'd like to learn, things that I am working on. At a point, you feel like if I can maintain this level, which is a good level, and I'm working, and everybody's happy. That maintenance level, that's a level that you certainly want to have.
Yes.
You don't want to fall below that line.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
So my good friend Jimmy McLeese, great guitar player, he says you got to stay warm. And to me that was like, oh yeah, you're exactly right. You have to stay warm.
Yeah.
Means you got to be in touch with your instrument every day.
Yeah.
Really. For a period of time, so that you are warm at any given moment. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
This engine will start, and okay, let's go.
You've got it. Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite sayings is, when you're growing, you're green, and when you ripe, you rot. Right? So you got to always feel like you're growing and
right. That's right.
Getting somewhere. And yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're never there. You'd like to be there, but it's getting there is not it. It's the journey to get there.
Yes.
And knowing that you will never get there.
Right.
Life is too short.
Exactly. And then I think once I became comfortable with that idea, a big weight lifted off my shoulders. And then also, I love the thing you were saying about developing your own sound. Because also once I stopped chasing my heroes and trying to be them and develop and realizing that, wait, I have something to say and I have my own thing and I have my own sound. Yeah. That really helped too.
Yeah.
And that's again about the recording thing. I was going to say that's one important thing about recording yourself. And, lately with the whole COVID situation we're in, a lot of our students have interfaces now that didn't really have any kind of home recording setup.
Right.
It's a simple setup, but it's been very effective that they're recording, listening back. And, you know, in my studio classes at school, I always say one of the main things I want you to leave here with is you record a track, you listen back, and you know what to do right away to make it sound better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need to change this. I need to change that. I need to simplify the kick drum part. I need to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that a big part of?
No. It's absolutely right. When I was years ago, when I was doing demos, where you had an opportunity to sort of mess up once in a while, you know, it's a learning process. But the learning came quickly. The minute you heard yourself playing back that first time, I mean, you know all the mistakes. You hear them all.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, that's wrong. I got to change that. I don't do that fill there. Don't play the bass drum part there. I mean, you learn so much about all that. And then you also learn about the continuum of groove. You know, where do you fall behind? Where do you rush? Where do you know all those little things that make you better, taking care of all those little spots, you know, filling the holes. And yeah, I think the ability now for a student technologically to do more than what they used to be able to do is really great. And you're right, the COVID, despite its horrible thing, it is forcing everybody to rethink and pivot to another, you know, whatever you want to call it. And the online technology and the online experience is now with us more than ever. And it will get better. And so I think that, you know, as drummers, we know that playing live, you know, through the camera is not going to do well. There's latency, there's dropout, there's funky sound, so that's gonna get fixed one day. But in the meantime, you're right. The interface possibilities are there. And since we're talking about interface, let's go to the two students that are with us today. This is David Borgia and Luca Lanique, and they are interfaced, and literally they're face to face. They're gonna do something for us today. We don't know what it is, but I want to introduce the two. On your right is Luca, and on your left is David. So, guys, take it away.
Hello. It sounds good. Are we just gonna start then? Should we introduce ourselves? Shall we say a few words, or?
Why? Yeah. Say something.
So I just want to say, like, after hearing Ralph and Dave talking, what I took from my experience in LACM was mainly a development of my own creativity, and that's what you were talking about, your own voice. I felt like I had something to say before, and I also felt like I didn't have the tools to say it right. And what the school brought me, and teachers like Ralph, Dave, and Joey, Tim that I hear today, it's their experience, but also their flexibility towards my own playing, and the fact that they encourage each and everyone's creativity in order for us to state it the right way. And that's something that is crucial for me, and I think to every musician. There's some styles that I've never even played before going to school, and I learned a lot playing those styles, but also playing those styles within the range of my own creativity. And I'm really grateful for all that, and the journey has been amazing to me.
Wonderful. Yeah. I have to say, you know, Lucas, he came in with something special, but like he said, he needed to know what to do with it, and he needed to develop it and maybe open it up, understand what it was, and then be able to execute it better. That's so important. Learning that you can execute your ideas better with good technique, with a developing technique. But Luca, you know, what he's done in his development just amazes me, and he did find you know a voice that is special, unique. Even watching him playing, you'll find that there's some uniqueness there in what he does on the drum set. So you know, he's getting ready to do a senior recital this quarter, and Javid is another student of ours. He's going to do his junior recital this quarter. And so he's a little bit behind on the course, but he will do his senior recital either next quarter or the quarter after that. Javid is a whole different kind of drummer, and that's what I love about what we do here at school, is that we're not trying to make clones out of everybody. That's not the point. We need everybody to, again, find their voice, and they come in with something, and then we just try to make it better. I think that's what education is all about, just making what's already there better, or realizing the potential that is there and opening that up for possibilities. Javid, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, just to go off of what Lucas mentioned before and what you said about your own voice, because many drummers come in and from any music school, a lot of people worry about influence on the stylistical differences, but like he mentioned, LACM just brought open doors for many of us to many styles and from different cultures that we've never even thought about before, seen before, been exposed to, and it just helped in our own path to find like the way that we want to play and how we want to express ourselves on our instrument. So, but very well said by Lucas. So I reiterate that.
Wonderful. Well, why don't you guys play for us something? I hear you've got it worked out.
Yeah, we'll be playing along to a backing track by an artist named Ray Harakami.
Okay.
So here we go.
Oh. Well, I'd like to comment on that if I could.
Of course.
Please.
So, how many attempts have you guys done on this?
Total probably like what?
5.
Yeah, 5.
Okay. And
Started
certainly,
this morning.
okay. And the cool thing, of course, is that you're not trying to work out specific things you're going to play. Each time you do it, it's going to be different. And that's what I enjoyed so much about it. It felt so spontaneous, even though you've gone through it 5 times. You're not trying to nail something down that you're going to regurgitate. You're allowing yourself the freedom to play spontaneously, and this is what it's really all about. And both you guys get that. And the other thing I wanted to say is just the contrast between your two styles is so stark, and yet you're playing together. All right, it's not like there's any fighting going on because you're different people playing different styles. It's really, you both have a voice, and you unify those voices that you have into one experience. And so thank you for that. It was really, really nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to talk about that? Tim, you want to come in? Joe, you want to come in?
Yeah, certainly. Great job, you guys.
Right. Wonderful.
Yeah, very cool, you guys. The drums sound great too, man. Even through the, all the technology, and everybody's got good headphones on, so I'm sure that, it sounds pretty good. So,
That's good to hear.
Yeah, really great. And I second Ralph that it was really nice to see your the two voices, but you guys play together so well and really listening to each other, and that's huge. That's a big part of it, man. Going back to the listening aspect of what we do, and opening our ears in the moment, but also opening our ears to the history of, and how we got there. And I've seen you guys grow from sort of young-minded players to very mature players in a short amount of time. And that's a testament to your work. You guys are two of the hardest workers I know, and that I've come across in my years at LACM. So,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, really fantastic. But Joey, sorry, I don't want to get in the way there. You got anything?
No, Joey, hey.
Yeah, how's everybody doing?
Yeah, very good.
Hey, Joey.
There was a little technical difficulty at the Burbank bunker, but I think we got it out. Everyone in their proper bunker, I hope.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And these two students I love to death. There's always, I've been 12 years, and they're in my top, 5, 6 guys that ever went to the school. I don't know how the other teachers feel, but these are gifted kids. I call them kids because they're younger than me. But they've grown so much, they're not really kids anymore,
That's that's what I mean. Yeah.
There was one thing that I noticed that maybe Luca might want to just jump on and expand on it a little bit, is where he was at, mentally speaking, before he came to the school, and when he actually started in the school. And he and I had a series of a couple of discussions where, because it's our job to guide these drummers to become solid musicians, successful, I guess. And you know what I'm talking about, right, Lucas?
Yes, I really do.
Would you like to read a few words?
Yeah. That's basically what I was explaining a little before. It's exactly what you just mentioned. Is the fact that I knew I had my own voice. That's because I knew I had something to say. So it's just something you feel deep down inside. I didn't try to imitate anyone, but for sure I did this instrument, to pay my respects to the drummers I love. But I felt like I had something to say. But I think I put so much passion into it, and so much love, and so much, I don't know, pressure on myself that I came off a little. I think I closed myself to a bunch of stuff, to a bunch of styles, to a bunch of critique, just to, I don't know. I thought he would do me well. I don't know. And then I came to the school. I realized my limits. I realized also that people that would criticize me or critique me, it wasn't for to do me wrong, but it was just for me to improve as a drummer, as a musician. And once I realized that, I think it clicked. And the conversation I've had with Joey, with Ralph, with Tim, with Dave, with a lot of other teachers too, that helped me definitely click in that way. And now I find myself just to be more humble, more patient, and also more open to anything else that can come my way. Because as musicians, I feel like that's what we need to be. You need to work on yourself as a drummer, as a musician, but for sure as a person. And that's when I realized that the both were so intimately connected, that I think improved. And that's
Absolutely.
thanks to you
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Thank you for doing the work, Luca.
Oh, yeah.
And David. Honestly.
And understanding, why you came to the school. I mean, I know you came with thoughts about improving what you did, but the process, I think, was different for you, and that's something that you had to take to, and
Exactly.
eventually realize, and which you did, and I really honor you for that, for the realization of that in that moment, where you went, oh, now I know why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you said.
And I know what I'm going to get fixed, and it's not changing who you are; it's just improving on who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'd like to add to that I feel like the program, when you guys came into it, I think you realized and realized pretty quick the responsibilities we have as drummers, in the band, and the importance of the education underneath that. Like Ralph was saying, the mechanical and the fundamental. But and also gaining that experience and playing a lot, and you guys have always been really open to that, and I think that's important for any new student. If we have any people in the audience looking for programs or anything like that, it's important to have that environment to learn in, so you're getting the right influences and the right foundation to go out and be successful, make a living, be a teacher, recording artist, which I think we all do, So it's really great to hear that. Thank you for the compliment, you guys. I appreciate, and I've enjoyed over the years the conversations that we've had about music and where it comes from, and the people we should be listening to, and what a moment in time to have our ears open, socially, everything that's going on. I think it couldn't there couldn't be more wonderful pressure on us as musicians and teachers than ever. I think it's we're in a good place to be able to launch into some really fantastic things over the next decade.
Well, I think you bring up a good point, and I want to bring Dave back in the conversation. If Dave is out there, I don't want to ignore Dave. Thank you, great.
Thanks.
So there's a question here: how do you guys find and stay motivated in today's new climate? And based on what Tim was saying in terms of us having to realize and accept the conditions that we're in right now as musicians and as drummers. Not in my life have I ever had to just stop doing what I was doing, and so the realizations has caused all of us to rethink, and create something that is still meaningful, new, maybe looking toward the future, taking advantage of technology, which I think we all have to do. at this point, and then seeing how you can fit in and continue doing what you do, whether you're a player or a teacher or a student. I mean, it doesn't matter. You learn to adapt as we as humans have to do. This is not going to last forever, I hope. And so we will get back to some reasonable social normalcy. But for right now, I think we should take advantage of this moment that has been sent us, and make the most of it, and don't cower off in the corner saying, "Oh, gee, poor old me." You gotta like just stand up and say, "Okay, what's this going to mean for me, and how do we continue?" And at LACM, we quite quickly, I thought, adjusted to this new online setting. We were in the middle of a quarter. There were people getting ready to do their recitals, and suddenly the school was closed. And that kind of adjustment, that sudden adjustment, is very difficult. And first of all, from the LACM side, I thought they have done a brilliant job with making our program continuous and not faltering by any means. And then all the teachers that have stepped up to meet this new challenge. Whether you're learning it brand new, like I kind of learned it brand new.
Yeah, me too.
When you're forced into something, you learn it, you do it. And so, hey, well, great. Then I'm all in, because I can still continue to do what I do, which is to teach and to share and to have this interaction. I mean, and we all have the same thing. And thank God we have this, because 5-10 years ago, this would not have happened.
Yeah.
So timing is pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to bounce off that, like as a student, like Dave was saying earlier, with the studio class that he's giving, that I'm taking this quarter, I think that it's amazing that we can actually. That's true. I've never recorded myself before with an interface with mics and stuff, and it forced me also to find a studio rehearsal space that I found with David. And in order for us to record whenever we wanted, to conduct our own sessions or whatever, and it's definitely something I've never done before. So I think the best thing in this time for sure is to put things into perspective and make the best out of it with doing stuff that we would have never done otherwise. And
it is great. I mean, I worry about the students. They're coming to school, they're learning, and suddenly, bang, they have to adjust and do something differently, and maybe learn how to play an electronic drum set, or in Javis' case or Lucas' case, learn how to interface with your computer and get up some microphones. That in today's world, it's not that expensive to do this.
Yeah,
not at all.
And so it's out there, and so all we have to do is go out and buy it, and then find a place to do it. Like they said, they found a rehearsal space that's actually sounds just fine, and it certainly looks big enough. And then do your thing. And so it becomes an alternative to the live setting, and maybe in some ways preferable. I mean, it just depends on the kind of interaction, how high quality it is, but you can have an equal conversation. Because it is live. When I'm looking at you, Tim, you're live. You're right there.
Right there.
We're just not in the same room. That's okay.
In the flesh, yeah.
I still feel your presence, so it's like
that's great. Yeah.
So I mean, this does work.
Yeah.
And in the comfort of your own home, which is like, wow, how convenient.
Can you imagine going through all this without the technology? With this pandemic, and I mean.
I know.
I'd still be in the fetal position, I think, after, but when I watched all my gigs cancel for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
But you're right. I think this technology is, and not only is it given us an education and how good we can make it and everything, but it's saving us, man. It is.
It's
it's keeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So if I can jump in,
yeah, go ahead.
I think, you know, at school, we really put a lot of weight, as we should, on being diversified as players.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you never know where this business is going to take you and what opportunity is going to all of a sudden pop up. But I think also just being diversified as, you know, having some kind of home recording setup, being able to teach, play, whatever your side talents, we'll call them, are, besides just playing live with the band. You know, maybe you're interested in graphic arts, all the stuff that goes along with music, you know?
Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to really, you know, develop that more. And that could be a motivating factor, that you're kind of bulletproofing yourself for what's coming down the road 10 years from now. So
You're
no matter
right.
where things go, you know, it's
Mhm.
like, I think as musicians, we all have some kind of freelance spirit. You know, that's just the type of person that gets into this. You got to be a little crazy to go for it in the beginning, right?
Right.
You just do. So you have that freelancer's mentality and spirit. And, you know, I mean, I have like we all do, house payment, car payment. I have a 17-year-old daughter talking about going to USC. And,
Yes.
you know, well, we'll see. Or LACM. We'll
Fight
see
on.
where she ends up. But anyway, the point is that, you know, I open my book and I have, like Tim just said, my gigs are canceled. So, okay, that's off the table. What's next?
Mhm.
I can't sit there and cry about it.
I know,
All
you're
right.
right. You're
Who can I
right.
contact, and who are some of the singer-songwriters I've worked with? And I shoot them an email and say, hey, my studio's still up and going. You can come in and sing. And I have a split level studio. So I'm upstairs right now in the control room, and I have a downstairs. So they come in and sing, and we interact without ever getting close to one another.
That's
great.
great.
I had plenty of projects like that. So it's just about, you know, being creative, and that comes in many different forms, right?
Yeah.
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 Most definitely.
Well, I think too I mean, I'm sure Javid and Lucas are slowly realizing this if they haven't already done so, and that is that the whole technology and listening back and improving on a track or any of that spurns writing and producing. And those are two, like you said, sidelines that you were talking about, Dave.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, so that you know you're now you're looking at something bigger than who you are. You know, as a producer or as a songwriter. You know, those are huge things. And you know, sometimes drummers get a bad rap for not knowing how to write. Number one, or didn't learn ever how to write because we're not melodists or harmonists. And but at the same time, I realize the importance of understanding both of those parts of the you know all aspects of music: melody, harmony, rhythm, and then lyrics. So you know we do at the school all of these things all at the same time in all the departments, and you know now we're looking at a future where you know drummers and even students will take on another aspect of their learning, which will be on the technological side of things, because it's been given to us actually with this pandemic, and it's I see it as a positive, and at the same time hoping that the COVID will finally go away. But yeah, I think you know a student now gets the whole package of what we do. They take advantage of each and every one of the teachers who are professionals in their own right, and like Dave said, he wears several hats and does them all equally well. And you know, Tim, I know Tim for his percussion playing. You know, and so if he gets called as a percussionist, he's right there, able to handle all that. You know,
If you need marimba tracks, I've got
yeah.
one.
Yeah. Joey
Yeah.
Heredia having a studio with more than one drum set set up and ready to like record with other artists and other drummers and you know just all of that sort of thing. And Joey, you might want to talk a little bit about where you're coming from lately about the technology. I'm sorry, and also you have collaborators.
Yeah. One thing that I learned right when this COVID thing hit is that I had to streamline my gear and then in henceforth streamline my mind to thinking more in a simple way, in the sense that before my studio had right here to this side kind of, there was a big analog board, and those of us that are older, we love analog boards, the sound and what have you. But it just was always breaking down. There's only a couple of guys that know how to do that, and then they're like plumbers. They charge a lot of money to come in and tweak up your studio, and
Right.
I didn't need it remodeled. I just needed, a mic prefixed or something. So I got rid of that big board, and it took a lot of weight off me. I noticed. It's interesting because I never thought I would say that. I thought, I'm going to just stay with this analog board, and it got it tied into these mic pre's. But then I streamlined it, and instead of having the big refrigerator rack with a patch bay and everything was going through the patch bay in and out, and then there's a room behind me, a drum room that's all tricked out where I have a lot of my gear, and there's a kit in there always set up ready to roll, a big kit that I used on the Tribal Tech record years ago. And then next to it I had a jazz kit that was just totally different from much like Javid and Luca over here, two different drummers, two different sounds. And so I took that second kit and I put it right here behind me. It's a DW kit, very cool, which smelled like a 16-inch kick drum.
16, wow.
16, yeah, it's wonderful. And it's purple.
Is that, do they make it as a 16 or is it a floor tom on its side?
They make it as a 16. In fact, I was so blown away when I first saw it at DW. It had two 16-inch kick drums. It was a double kick set, but with little mini kick drums. And then an 8, 10, and then the 12 was on legs, was a floor tom.
The 12, wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying to offer, these two different type of kit sounds, and it takes a lot of gear because I have got all the pre's and the interface, for the kit over there, another interface for the kit over here, and but the streamlining has really helped. It's almost done now, the studio. Even though I had that little technical difficulty today, it seems to be, just goes to show you. I think that's why I hate computers, but now I'm beginning to, in a very strange way, to out of the corner of my mouth, say that I love them. Well, I never thought I would say that, but yeah, it's a challenge for us. That's something that can't be mastered if you just put your mind to it. And so we have to back up a little bit, at least me as a teacher, and put myself half the time in student mode now, to relate to what I have to do and to relate to what our drummers need to know from us.
Yeah.
A question has popped up from Ray, and Ray says, what are some things you guys are working on craft-wise behind the kit? Ostinato, groove, odd meter, groove, solo, melody, dynamics, hands. So let me pose that to Javid and Lucas. What are you guys working on? Especially now that Luca, you're getting ready to leave, and Javid, you're proceeding. But I'm sure there are some things that are sort of top of your list, things that you want to be working on. What are they?
Right now, I kind of went back to like really basic, just hand to foot, like combo techniques. So kind of just like making sure that like the movement between my hands and feet are more buttery and like smooth on the grid.
Okay.
And I've really just been doing that recently. So
Yeah, I mean, your playing is very grid oriented, if I could say that, which is such a cool style anyhow. I mean, it really is. But you're so attentive to it, and doing something like you're talking about, the hand and foot kind of thing. That's brilliant. That like you said, make it buttery, just smooth as can be. It's just so easy to do the alternation between the two limbs, for example. It's wonderful. Yeah. And what about you, Luca?
So me, one of my weaknesses was definitely time, which is weird enough for a drummer. And I understand the importance of time, but I think I didn't understand it enough. And I think I wanted to play a lot like a soloist, even though I was a timekeeper. So I
Right.
worked a lot on that, trying to just like simple exercises from the art of Bob drumming, with some comping and a really steady right cymbal pattern. And I did the same for groove oriented, with the fat back exercise, and I would do some metronome, on which I would mute some bars, and I would do stuff like that. So at first mute only one bar and keep one bar with the 4 beats, and then mute 2 bars and keep 2 bar with the 4 beats, and then 4 bars, etc. And it really builds up your internal clock. So I've been doing that a lot, and I'm still working a lot on the Syncopation for Modern Drummer by Ted Reed, which I apply a lot of triplet or 16-note exercises with paradiddles and all the stickings. And
Right.
of course, the composition side, I try to compose a little more, and I use a lot of RALPH stitching with the odd meters and all these concepts, in order to find interesting bass lines, intricate melodies, and I try to do that MIDI and then practice it on the drums. So it's been nice.
It's a great idea. Great. Yeah. You guys, anybody want to chime in on any of that? Maybe. I mean, Tim, are you working on anything, or Dave? Are you guys working on?
Absolutely. I actually, oddly, well, not too oddly enough, but I have to keep my hands together on the playing tech curriculum. So I keep a fair amount of that in my practice time, and
Right.
I've always enjoyed hitting the pad and doing the mechanics with the hands. Lately, I've been working on exercises that kind of work both the large molar motions and the small ones.
Yeah.
Mainly like flam paradiddles into inverted flam taps, which is kind of a nice thing. You can add some odd meter to it and create some nice exercises. So,
It is true. That is great. Yeah.
And teaching the sight reading, for me, man, it's just great having my hands in some Wilcoxon and all the great snare drum material. It's just keeps my hands pretty buttery, as Javid said there.
That's it. That's great. Well, I know that when my hands feel good, I really feel good.
Yeah, it's the truth.
And it's like that staying warm concept, where if you let yourself get cold, it's gonna take you a while to warm up and go, oh, that's what it used to feel like.
Yeah. And to reiterate what Dave said earlier, I think doing a lot of recording at home right now really keeps just the musical side of things sharp, and just keeps the creativity happening.
Yeah, so important. Yeah. Creativity is a subject area that we haven't talked about it, specifically, but it is an important part of what we do. I think we all have a job to do as drummers, and we take care of that job. But in the midst of that job, you want to be creative, and so there's a creativity to the kind of feel you're giving the music. There's a creativity with your setups and your fills. There's a creativity with figures in the band, if there are figures in the band, and then if you get a chance to solo, there is true creativity right there, whether you're playing on a vamp or playing an open solo, whatever it happens to be. But I think that's the sort of the tip of the iceberg. Is okay. Really, I want to be creative when I play, or at least have that door open for the possibility that you can stick something in that is maybe a creative aspect to what you're doing. All right, even if it's doing a track for somebody.
Yeah.
It could be a fill that you play that nobody else has ever played that fill like that in that spot. You know, it's one of those things. You know, and those are the creativity elements that we all look for. You know, and we hear them in some of our favorite drummers.
Except all my fills are stolen. I'm just saying. Just putting that out there. It's all the good ones anyway, man.
Ralph,
Yo,
Joey here. I heard you're putting together a studio sometime soon at your home up north.
you know what? This whole quarantine pandemic has made me think about outside of Los Angeles. Even though I work in Los Angeles, I did all my sessions and all my teaching in Los Angeles, and living for many, many years, of course. But my wife and I moved out of town, and we're in Northern California. So I'm realizing, well, for the first time, I actually do need a studio here at home. You know, since all my work was in LA, I felt like I didn't really need a space. Well, now this whole pandemic has made me realize, well, it would do well for me to have a space, and then develop that space into something bigger than me. You know, like where I could record, I could maybe produce. Certainly, I could write. I could develop curriculum. I could write books. I could, teach. So many aspects to that it's well worth it. And so yeah, I am thinking about doing that very soon.
Awesome.
Great.
Sorry.
I've been through it twice. Let me know if I can help you in any way.
Dave, thanks. I might be calling you about gear.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, all of you guys, I'll be talking about gear.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Dave, you said you've done it twice.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
This is my second studio. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a always evolving process, right? Like you were saying, Joey, you fall in love with your analog console, and then after a while it's like, oh, this is a dinosaur, time to move on. But yeah, you're always evolving. I just upgraded to all universal audio stuff, which is just fantastic. The plugins are just unbelievable. I could be a salesman easily.
you could. You could.
They're something else. So that's what I'm into lately, is just always chasing that elusive drum sound that I have in my head.
That's I mentioned before. Your sound. You're probably never ever totally satisfied.
Right.
With certain things, like your ride cymbal. God, I wish I had a better ride cymbal. This is good, but there's something better out there. It's like that. Or your snare. It has just a little bit too much ring. I got to fix that. So, the tweaking of your instrument, and then of course the style of music has so much to do with what you end up doing with your instrument. You might even change your instrument because of the style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I found over years and years of playing and being a working drummer was, if I had some different cymbals, especially ride cymbals, and some different snare drums, I could make the drum set sound like 10 different instruments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's those are your primary instruments, is your ride cymbal and your snare drum. The snare is like our baby, and probably everybody here has more than one snare drum.
Oh, yeah.
Joey, how many do you have?
Oh, I lost count about 20 years ago.
Yeah. I'm definitely up in the teens.
Yeah,
me too.
I'll be honest with you. I don't have that many, considering how old I am. I think I've got maybe 28 or 29, 30 snares.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's
Yeah,
that's a lot.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's more than what I had. It's more than what I have.
Okay, but it always turns out that I end up using one or two overall.
That's the way I am.
You know what? You do end up having favorites for sure.
Yeah.
But
Why
again,
is that, Ralph? Why is that?
I think you get accustomed to the sound of something, maybe the feel of it, or maybe it just works so well in the track that you use it,
Yeah.
It could be just that thing, you having one snare drum. Let's talk about this for a second. We all start with one snare drum, but you got to cover all these different styles with one drum. How do you do that? All right. You have to learn how to tune your instrument to get that fat, funky sound or to get that high end crack. There's one drum that can do that for you. And it's not a 12-inch, or it's not it's a 14x5. It's a standard size snare drum that will give you just about everything that you need. And you can retune it in a pinch.
Yep. I when students ask me, like when I go to a session and we have time to really dial stuff in and experiment, what happens, like, specifically talking about a snare drum. And I say, well, I usually try out 3 or 4 different drums and we listen and we end up with my Black Beauty. And then they say, well, what do you do if, you're in a big rush and you have to really hurry? I say, well, I just start with the Black Beauty.
Yeah. Exactly.
You obviously you have your favorite.
I have my favorite. It's just my sound. When I hit it, I go, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of this way or that way. I have a fatter drum and a piccolo, and so I can cover all the bases.
And
but
Dave,
like you said, the 5x14.
I mean, it's
Dave, is your Black Beauty? What's the depth?
5.
5. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I have a Black Beauty too, but it's 6.5.
Yeah.
That's a nice instrument too.
That's a great drum as well. Yeah.
Javid's snare drum is pretty sweet there too. That's a Ludwig drum, isn't it, Javid?
Yeah, it's the Copperphonic, so it's pretty much like a copper version of the Black Beauty.
Yeah.
It dries it out a little bit, and it's like less intense.
That is a bad boy right there.
Yeah, it's really cool, like focused.
How old is that snare?
This one's pretty new. I got it when I was, I think, like a year or two before I moved to LA. So 2015, 2016. So it's not too old.
Javid, give us a demonstration.
Sure.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Super fun. Yeah.
Great sound.
It's also a hand hammered shell, so it's even drier than a normal copper shell. So.
Yeah.
But are you doing anything else to the head? Is there other dampening?
Yeah, it's a tiny little I don't know what kind of, it's like a felt kind of mute on here. It's like really small, really subtle. Yeah. There's still like a good amount of ring on the drum, but it kind of kills out like the ridiculous like ring if like a lug gets a little loose or something.
Beautiful instrument. Luca, you got a new bass drum.
Yes, I have the exact same snare as Javid, by the way.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Is it
Copperphonics? Yeah.
Can you play your instrument?
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
It's the same manufacturer, the same size, the same material.
Same everything.
Same, yep.
But
the logs are different.
They don't sound the same.
They don't at all. That's crazy.
Because Luca,
we don't play the same either.
Yeah.
Precisely why. Luca, you have your touch and your feel and your sound, and so does Javid, and you can use the same instrument. Mm-hmm. This to me points out the fact that we all are individuals, no matter what the instrument. I mean, you've got a beautiful drum there, but you could probably have, a simple functioning snare drum of any brand and make it sound good because of how you play it. Because you're a detail person and you listen and you get the sound that you can get. Now, some drums, they don't give you the sound you're looking for. I agree with that. So you're looking for that too. Same with cymbals. But again, we're always on this venture to find, high quality instruments to our ear, regardless of what it is or what manufacturer even. And those drums sound really beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, really nice.
That 18 kick sounds beautiful. You got it tuned up nicely.
Thank you. Yeah, I got help from JV too. We tried out new heads, and I just got it Monday. So
Yeah.
having fun. It's a custom made, so it took a long time.
Is that a 14? Is that a 14 deep?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
David, what kick drum are you using there?
This one's a Club Day reissue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 20 by 14, I think.
Yeah, nice.
It's a
That's
good
a good
size.
size too.
That's a beautiful size. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the wood is like a cherry gum mix. So it kind of gives like a hard attack. But it's real nice. Actually,
It's a hard
funny,
attack.
He said
Yeah.
hard attack, not
Yeah.
hard attack.
Hard attack, not a.
yeah, it's funny, actually back in he has the same exact kit
Yeah.
back at home.
In Paris, yeah.
Yeah.
I got the same kit as he does. So we have the exact same drum set, yeah.
Well,
In a
That's
weird
funny.
way.
curious.
Hmm.
What else from anybody? Anything?
Curriculum.
I do see another question.
Curriculums.
Curriculums people can look forward to in the LACM program. All right. Well,
I'm going to make you a better reader, that's for sure.
that is for sure.
And
Dave,
from my end,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, from my end, I'll make you a better musician of Latin rhythms, I suppose.
Yes, indeed.
We cover a lot of bases here. Just how many of us are there? 4?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Teachers today? Yeah, with God, we cover a lot of scary, actually.
Yeah.
In other words, if I was a young kid thinking about going to school, I'd want to go to the school, but there'd be an element of, I'd be in fear a bit. I'd be a little scared because we offer a lot.
Well, the premise originally with Joe and I was simply, okay, we need our drummers to be able to do anything that comes their way. What does that mean? Well, it means stylistically you have to be diverse. And I think a lot of drummers, they get as they're developing, the kind of music they're listening to is one-dimensional, and then that's what they play with their band. And they never touch upon Latin. Are you kidding? Jazz, really? And then all the other offshoots of rock and pop and funk and R&B and hip hop and that whole thing. We teach all of that. And it's really important to be stylistically diverse because, like Dave said, you never know what's going to happen from day to day. Somebody's going to ask you to do something and you're going to go, well, what's that? and then they're going to go, sorry, sorry, I'm not going to tell you if you don't know. Another thing that happens a lot of the time when you get called to play with somebody, they might say, this needs to sound like so-and-so.
Right.
Well, if you don't know who so-and-so is, there's a problem here, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what genre of styles we're talking about. It could be something old and it could be something new, all right? So I think we as musicians need to stay abreast with what's going on as much as we can. Of course, you're going to have favorites. Of course, you're going to have, certain kinds of music you like to listen to. Why? Because music is of its generation. That's why. That's an important thing that I learned from Pat Metheny. And so my generation was somewhere else. David's generation is all completely different than mine. So his world is different in terms of what he listens to. And so I've had to show him the other aspect of the broader picture of music. And I use David as an example. All students go through that. we tell them, look, you got to know the span of music here from a drummer's perspective. Where did all this come from? And so historically, it's really important, and I think we all get into that at some with some aspect of our teaching, and whether it's in the curriculum or not, this is really, really important. So the styles obviously is something that we stress, and like Luca was saying, he was stylistically hamstrung because he had his thing, but he only had his thing, and it was good, but it was one-dimensional. We have to expand. So now he's learned that expansion has actually helped him do what he does automatically. And so that's really the important part of learning your different styles. It teaches about different drummers who played that style. It teaches you about repertoire, because drummers need to know repertoire. You think about, how many pieces of music do you know? Have you ever thought about that? If you were asked right now, or if somebody played a tune and asked you, do you know that tune? Well, to me, this is really important. I understand. I know a lot more music than some of my students. Stands to reason. I've lived a lot longer. But it's important for all drummers, I think, to understand bits and pieces of each era of music. And then you can go explore further if you are interested, which is fine. If you're not interested, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. And if I can chime in real quick, Ralph,
Yeah.
I think you can always hear it, even if a guy's playing a straight ahead rock track or in a band. If they understand and can play jazz, there's a different touch and a different sensibility.
You are true. You're all right. Yeah.
I can always hear it, and vice versa. If a guy's playing jazz and he understands rock, and when it's appropriate, however they collide and mixed,
Oh, yeah.
and there's a certain touch. That's why I think it's so important to learn jazz, even if you don't ever plan on being a jazz,
It's not important to learn how to play it, although we do teach it, because you never know when you're going to need it. And sometimes it'll turn you on to the style, and then you just take off, which is you got to be turned on to these styles. Otherwise you'll never, nothing will ever happen there. But you've got to realize that music is an evolution. And so it came from somewhere, and it caused something else to happen. Then that caused something else to happen, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'm fortunate at my age to have witnessed, music early on, and lived through some really incredible times and saw the artists that I was loving to hear at the time. I know a lot of students have not had that opportunity. Thank God YouTube is around, and other formats, so that you can see some of these experiences that I saw live. But still, learning about where we came from is really, really important. And Dave, you're right. You can hear a drummer who has had jazz experience in their playing, even though they're playing a different style.
Yeah. Yep. There's a certain touch and sensibility there. Yeah. And also the concept, because this has happened to me on many rock gates, and I'm sure you guys can speak to this, where sure we have our checkpoints, but we don't play the same every night. That's the fun of it. The guy I've been touring with until all this quarantine started, Jim Messina. It's almost like a jam band in a way. Mm-hmm. We play the tunes and then we take off. We go from there. So in that aspect, it's very jazzy. Even though we're playing, some straight ahead groove, but it's all about what you can do with it. And sometimes the solo sections. There's one tune we play that's close to 20 minutes long. And I challenge myself every night with it, trying not to play the same thing I played the night before. Just you were talking earlier, Ralph, about always listening. So my ears are like elephant ears to the band, or like looking for motivation. Like, what's the rhythm guitar player playing, behind the soloist, and how can I enhance that and play off it and get some fire going with that,
Right.
So yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. So that the aspect of just all these different styles kind of colliding as you go through your career is very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I think too, you know, as drummers, especially, I feel like we're counted on to improvise freely and regularly, no matter what the style is. And I think, you know, like Dave, you're saying, having that jazz background, I mean, that music and that style, that genre is the best place to get at least started on your improvisation skills and things like that. And that's going to seep into everything you play, you know.
Absolutely.
And Latin percussion and Latin drumming as well. And I'm so thankful at LACM we've got guys like Joey and Richie Garcia to really teach that style authentically. And you know, I'm from Ohio, so I'm thankful for Joey Heredia, and you know, so, but it really makes a difference. I've become better at that music because of guys like Joey and Richie.
Yeah,
you know,
wonderful. I can also mention a couple of other faculty members that you didn't mention. Alberto Salas.
Yeah, Alberto, yes, thank you.
Also teaches
Marcelo.
And Marcelo Bucatir.
Yes.
A former student of ours who also got his master's degree at, was it Cal Arts?
CalArts, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Brilliant drummer.
Yeah. And Luca, you're getting ready to go there. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. I was
wonderful.
I was lucky enough to be accepted, but I'm gonna defer until next January because they're gonna be full online, and I'm trying to save some money as well. So I'm gonna get my OPT and then join them in January with the hope that it's gonna be some in-person class. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you know, everybody's having to play heads up here with this COVID, and I'm glad you were able to make that adjustment. That's great.
Yes, that's very flexible, so it was easy. That's good.
Wonderful. Does this change Joe's date of retirement? I hear he's trying to retire.
Oh, no, he just took a sabbatical year.
Oh, okay.
Because they allow that. So yeah, he took his sabbatical year in a really weird time. But no, he'll be back. I think he's back this fall for the online classes.
Oh, wonderful.
And
okay.
So he is back. Yeah, for now they're not talking about retirement. So yeah, he just rested, and I think he's ready to go.
He's ready to go. We're talking about Joe LaBarbera.
LaBarbera,
yes.
Who handles the curriculum up there at Cal Arts. It's great.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Great drummer. Yeah. Any questions out there? I see a question. Heston.
Hey,
Heston. Heston is a graduate of our school. Wonderful drummer.
Yes.
He says, when teaching young beginners, how do you get that balance between the fundamentals and the fun stuff, as they would put it?
That's a good challenge.
Yeah.
It's teaching them what they want to know and what they need to know all at the same time. It's kind of like slipping in the vegetables, like our parents used to do. You know, you hide them in the mashed potatoes, right?
You're right.
No, this is absolutely right. You know, a student comes in with predeterminations of what they want to learn, and then you, as a teacher, you watch the student play for maybe 3 minutes, and you know what's happening. And you already are putting together a program. So you try to marry the two. You try to get the student to understand, here's what you need, but here's what you're going to get, you know. And so you try to get on a road to get this happening. And you know, the student is looking for success every week, and that's what you try to do. And so again, here's where success comes in small little bits, but it's satisfying when you realize that you've accomplished something as a student, and however small it is. It takes practice, however, and that's another subject.
Yeah, I've had good luck, Heston, to just go a little further. I've had good luck starting with asking the students, well, what are their goals? And, you know, if you're talking about beginners, sometimes they're too young to even be thinking 5 years down the road. So it kind of depends their age, but you know, they're going to love music. They're going to have a favorite band. So I usually start with that and then pick a song from that band it's, you know, obtainable for them so they don't get frustrated too quickly. And then start breaking it down. Okay, let's listen to here's what the guy's doing in the verse, or girl, what they're doing in the verse, and here's what they're playing in the chorus. Now let's look at that and play it for me. And then inevitably they're doing something that needs attention technique-wise. Right. So then you go, oh, hey, let's look at your left hand. What we're doing there. And then suddenly you're talking about technique, but it always relates back to the song and something they love that they see as like the goal of, oh, if I work on this, I'll be able to play my favorite song.
Absolutely.
That usually helps with beginners.
Absolutely.
And non-beginners, really.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No other thoughts here?
Yeah, I agree with Dave on that. It's you have to tie in. You know, I'm one of those kind of players, and I was the same as a student. That I loved the mechanics of it. You know, and I know sometimes that's hard to get students to focus on, and the challenge there is, you know, trying to let them know that, you know, like you said, Dave, you get good at this, it's going to help you, you know, accomplish what you want for this song and get the music happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, obviously there's always the fundamentals have to be there. Otherwise, you know, if you can't hit the drum right, it's just you're gonna have a lot harder time getting there. You know.
Absolutely, and that's, you know, that's one of the main things. Oh, I took many things from Ralph when I studied with him privately. That was a few years back, wasn't it, Ralph?
Quite a few.
But it's the technique thing, because, you know, technique is for life. That stays with you for life. Styles are going to come and go, and bands are going to come and go. But man, that technique, learning that stuff has just, I think about it almost every day, how important it is. You know, how it's stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, you know, we at school, we focus on things like playing techniques. There's 6 quarters of playing techniques. I think there's maybe up to 6 quarters of applied sight reading as well. And so, you know, fundamentals are really important. We include that in the program because drummers come in regardless of their experience or age, and there's always something that we can improve upon in their technique. Sometimes it's working backwards, you know, taking away things that have developed that are habits, and now they got to relearn. Whereas other students come in and we just build upon what they already have. And I'm finding more and more students are coming to school with more stuff. But the hands are looking better and better. And so I'm thinking that, you know, they're getting better instruction out there, realizing what some of the motions are all about and why we use them, and how it will allow you to play for your entire life, because you're not hurting any part of your body when you move. So you're a machine, and it's well oiled, and you'll never you know suffer because of an injury that you've caused by doing what you're doing, because you're relaxed. And relaxation, it gets the best tone out of the instrument anyhow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the best groove.
Yeah, all of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and longevity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you look for. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're really like me, you want to play your entire life. There's never a point when you don't want to play. So young ones, you can have that to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the question that came up? If you could change one thing about your playing, I'll go first. It would be that I make more money per note.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I play a lot less, then I don't feel so bad at the end of the session.
That's right. Yeah. Well, about my playing, one thing, gosh, there always seems to be so many. I don't know. but I you know, I think I just, we were talking about this earlier. I think I just want to keep growing as a player, and I enjoy when I you know, hear myself back in recordings and something like that, and I like what I'm hearing. You know, who doesn't, enjoy hearing back the fruits of their labor? You know, but
Right, yeah.
But I think I just want to. I constantly work on technique and making sure I don't have aches and pains and things like that. And I guess that would be. I guess it's not one thing to change, but maybe it's make more money per note, like Dave. And I want to play, Latin like Joey does. So I'll keep working on that one.
There you go.
Yeah, it's interesting with the different personalities. I'll never be able to play like Dave or Tim or Joey or Luca or David. I don't have to. As long as I get the job done, I can be myself.
Yeah.
And we all should just go ahead and just not worry about, I want to be like that person. Yeah, let them be influenced on you.
Sure.
Influence you, but you're not looking to become them.
Right. Yeah. Develop your sound.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from them, but you don't want to become them because it never will happen. And so you always need to be working on your own self and what that self is going to be all about when you go out and play your music.
Yeah. Be informed.
Well,
Yes.
you know what? I think there's maybe questions are not coming anymore, and it's what, 5:30. This has been really a wonderful session. I want to thank Dave for coming by, and Tim and Joey.
Thank you, Ralph.
And my pleasure. I don't think I could have done it without you guys. And then David and Luca, that was just a splendid performance. And
yeah, man.
Thank you so much.
thank you for being who you guys are. This means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you for guiding us.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. All right, Kira, if you're there, we can maybe close it down.